chose the topic that I would speak today as an auction item in your auction last fall. Is that person here? Raise your hand. Not here. Okay. Well, anyway, I know that it's a member of your congregation, and he's getting the sermon he asked for, even though he's not here. So, as you can tell from the readings, I think there's a really strong connection between generosity and gratitude, and I'm going to be exploring that with you today. I just have to show you, because you can't see it from there, that I actually have a stole that says gratitude on it. It's a gift from my mother. So, these last few days after the snow earlier this week have seemed particularly beautiful to me, in a kind of late winter, just the palest, earliest edge of spring sort of way. As I go about my day in Port Townsend, I'll catch a glimpse of the mountains or the light on the water or in the sky, that spectacular full moon. Maybe some of you saw it earlier this week, and my heart just lifts up. And here's the question. What exactly did I do to deserve such beauty? Did I pay the gods for that pair of eagles that I saw floating together in the sky? For the sun and clouds, for the eyes to see these things? No. No, it's a gift, unearned, no interest. So I want to talk about what it means to live the gift today. But I want to begin with a story about a young friend of mine who I've known since she was born. She's the daughter of my best friend from elementary school. Her name is Emily, and she graduated from college a few years ago with a business and economics degree. But before that, she spent a college semester studying business and economics in Greece. And when she came home from that trip, she told me this story, still amazed by what had happened to her. So at the end of her semester, she was headed home from Greece through London on one of those discount airline flights that they have in Europe. And she had spent every single remaining euro she had on presents for family and friends back home. She didn't have a credit card. I know, not the wisest choice to spend all your money before getting on the plane, but remember, she was about 20 years old. All her possessions, notes, books, mementos from her time there were in one large suitcase. When she got to the airport in Athens, she discovered that the airline could sell those very cheap tickets because to check a piece of luggage was very expensive, several $100s. Remember, no credit card, no euros. She told me, I tried to get rid of everything I could, just throwing it in the garbage. But no matter how much I threw away, I didn't have enough money for the flight. I would be stuck in the airport with no money, not even money for food. I didn't know how to call home. I didn't know what to do. I broke down. So Emily is a middle-class girl used to our American comforts. You could call this a kind of first world problem that she was having. But she was a very young woman in a foreign country for the first time. No immediately easy way to get herself out of the situation, and she was vulnerable and frightened. A Greek woman saw her in tears, came up to her and asked her what was wrong. And then this woman handed Emily all the money she needed, a gift. She would not give Emily an address to repay her, just wished her a safe journey home. Emily told me that experiencing that kind of helplessness and fear that someone without resources in our culture knows very well, and then receiving such unasked for, absolute kindness. This experience mattered more than all the rest that she learned in her semester in Greece. And this was not taught in her business and economics classes. In fact, I'm pretty sure, I'm almost certain, that it violated most of the worldview that was taught to her in her years studying business. I'm not an economist, but I am a person trained in ecology, and I am at UU, and I think there is something in Emily's story that we must reclaim and bring alive in the world. I don't know if any of you have ever read the book The Gift by Lewis Hyde, but it was a really important book for me when I was younger. And part of what he writes about are gift economies. So gift economies can be found in traditional cultures all over the world. Lewis Hyde explains that in gift economy, the movement of objects, or even things like money, that movement is all about relationship. When we receive a gift, there is a relationship formed by that giving and receiving, and we enter a web of obligation and connection that can go very deep. When we hand money to a cashier at the store, we might smile and say good morning. Maybe if we go to that store regularly, we know that cashier a little bit, but we don't go beyond that fleeting transaction. And as a person trained in ecology, I know that there is no getting around the ways that our current economic system is unsustainable. It is, in fact, from a strictly ecological view, insane. And I don't use that word lightly, but it's built on endless growth, which is an impossible idea in any biological system. And that in turn is built on using up what we are given freely from the natural world. Air, water, minerals, food, forests, energy, and turning more and more of those things into commodities, things to buy and sell and use up without deepening relationship in any way. And I know you know this, we are already seeing the signs all around us of the fraying and collapse of these systems. And we have built a world of vast and terrifying inequality and injustice along the way. And of course, we're bound up in this web. That is actually the nature of interconnectedness. We are part of it. The cultural analyst Naomi Klein wrote in a book called This Changes Everything that because of the climate crisis, we must make the turn towards a radically different way of being in and with the world, radically different form of economics. Eisenstein, who wrote the book Sacred Economics, and you heard the quote earlier, writes, "If the economic transformation I will describe seems miraculous, that is because nothing less than a miracle is needed to heal our world." But as you heard, his fundamental assumption, and I agree with him, is that we actually do live in a world of extraordinary abundance, both in terms of what we receive from just being alive and what we can receive and give to one another. But here's where I think part of the problem lies. We are taught, as my young friend Emily was, and every time we read a paper, open an economics textbook, probably haven't opened one of those for a while, but consult a financial advisor, that everyone knows that people are naturally selfish, naturally greedy, that people really only appreciate what they have to pay for, that everyone will do their best to maximize profit at whatever cost, and we must protect ourselves from each other. Again, I don't need to tell you this, but our new government is telling us this every day in various ways. So, what if we saw humans as having a tremendous and perhaps untapped innate capacity for selfless kindness and generosity that is actually being expressed all the time, everywhere you look? And that this is also true of our world, so abundantly supporting us, a great mutual and interconnected web that makes our lives possible. Of course, I know we can also be greedy and selfish. There's lots of evidence of that. But what if both are true? But we have spent the last few hundred years feeding and feeding one story about who we are and what's possible, while forgetting the other. Conveniently for those who want us to be consumers, not participants in a sacred dance of giving and receiving, of living the gift. Some people aren't fooled, and they're building alternatives right now around us. In fact, I'm sure many of you know about the king of Bhutan, the tiny Buddhist kingdom in the Himalayas. Years ago, he announced with great seriousness that he was building the policies in his kingdom on gross national happiness instead of gross national product. Simultaneously, and I doubt this was a coincidence, he declared that Bhutan would maintain 70% of the land in natural forest. Paul Hawken, in his book Blessed Unrest, which I highly recommend if you're looking for something to cheer you up, identified hundreds of examples from around the world of people who are creating abundance, alternatives to the insanity of our current system. And this is everywhere. You don't have to go to Bhutan to find this. This congregation right here is an expression of an alternative gift economy. You did not pay to come hear this sermon and sing together and drink coffee this morning. Those of you who pledge to support this congregation are expressing that gift economy, as are each of you who give in the ways that you do, not only to this congregation, but to your community and to the wider world. A different kind of economics is going on all the time, right below the economics we think runs the world. Just take that in. Churches. Public libraries always amaze me. You just walk in and you can, if you want, through interlibrary loan, you can get almost any book in the world and no one charges you for it. Free medical clinics. And almost every nonprofit in existence. All are expressions of this radical, sacred, earth-shakingly different way of understanding ourselves and our relationship with the money that moves through our culture. And most of us seem to respond naturally to real generosity. If someone offers something, a gift without strings, something in us is moved and called to give back to that person or to another. And so it builds on itself and brings good to the world on the way. I think of this as the spiral of goodness, the spiral of generosity. And what does it take to start the spiral? It takes the courage, first of all, to recognize and trust this kind of power, to see it at work in your life and in the world, and to bring it alive in yourself in whatever ways you're moved to do so. I want to close with a story of that power. You may have heard this before, but I really love it, by the Palestinian-American poet Naomi Shihab Nye. It's called Gate A4. It's relevant for more than one reason at this moment, you'll hear. Wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal, and I'll just say it was kind of a coincidence that I ended up with the beginning and ending airport stories. Wandering around the Albuquerque airport terminal, after learning my flight had been delayed for 4 hours, I heard an announcement. If anyone in the vicinity of Gate A4 understands any Arabic, please come to the gate immediately. Well, one pauses these days. Gate A4 was my own gate. I went there. An older woman in full traditional Palestinian embroidered dress, just like my grandma wore, was crumpled on the floor, wailing loudly. "Help," said the flight service person. "Talk to her. What is her problem? We told her the flight was going to be late and she did this." I stooped to put my arm around the woman and spoke to her haltingly. Excuse me if anybody knows Arabic here. "Shudowa, shubik ut habibti, stani shwe, min fadlik, shubit sewi." The minute she heard any words she knew, however poorly used, she stopped crying. She thought the flight had been canceled entirely. She needed to be in El Paso for a major medical treatment the next day. I said, "No, we're fine. You'll get there just later. Who's picking you up? Let's call him." We called her son, and I spoke with him in English. I told him I would stay with his mother till we got on the plane and would ride next to her, Southwest Airlines. She talked to him. Then we called her other sons, just for the fun of it. Then we called my dad, and she spoke for a while in Arabic and found out, of course, that they had 10 shared friends. Then I thought, just for the heck of it, why not call some Palestinian poets I know and let them chat with her? This all took about 2 hours. She was laughing a lot by then, telling about her life, patting my knee, answering questions. She had pulled out a sack of homemade mamul cookies, little powdered sugar crumbly mounds filled with dates and nuts, out of her bag, and was offering them to all the women at the gate. To my amazement, not a single woman declined one. It was like a sacrament. The traveler from Argentina, the mom from California, the lovely woman from Laredo, we were all covered in the same powdered sugar. And smiling. There is no better cookie. And then the airline broke out free beverages from huge coolers, and 2 little girls from our flight ran around serving us all apple juice, and they were covered in powdered sugar too. And I noticed my new best friend, by now we were holding hands, had a potted plant poking out of her bag, some medicinal thing with green furry leaves. Such an old country tradition. Always carry a plant. Always stay rooted to somewhere. And I looked around that gate of late and weary ones, and I thought, this is the world I want to live in. The shared world. Not a single person in that gate, once the crying of confusion stopped, seemed apprehensive about any other person. They took the cookies. I wanted to hug all those other women too. This can still happen anywhere. Not everything is lost. So with that, oh, you know what? We have a few more minutes. I'm going to do something spontaneous here. I want you to just turn to the person next to you, just very brief, and each of you share something you appreciate or have been given from this congregation, even if it's your first time here. So just one little thing that you've received from being part of this community, and I'll ring a little chime in a minute or two.